Most people say I am Mexican, but I'm actually not. I did not fit the European features. I was not tall enough, light enough, or pretty enough. My parents, grandparents, and other family members have indigenous features that make them look different from other Mexicans. My classmates at my elementary school would actually make fun of me because my mom and dad looked quote-unquote Indian. I was born and raised in the Central Valley, in Madera, California to be specific. And growing up Oaxacan, let me tell you, was really tough. I learned to hide my identity at such a young age because of racism. I was not only oppressed by Americans, but also from my own people, Mexicans. I started to embrace my roots and identity in graduate school. I finally was interested in learning more about the Oaxacan culture, and Los Angeles was a perfect place to explore this community. For those of you who don't know, Oaxaca is a state located in the southwest of Mexico. It is known mainly for its indigenous people, represented by more than 16 ethnic groups, with Zapoteco and Mixteco being the most represented. My name is Karen Cruz-Orduña, and I'm a proud Oaxacan, Mexican, American.
I learned about the mural project through just basic reading from Pacific Standard Time, the Getty's Initiative. I didn't know at that point that I would be involved. I only knew that this project might happen. Tlacolulocos are an artist collective. They are from the community where I am from. They're from Tlacolula. And they use urban symbols to talk about the ways in which migration has affected rural or indigenous communities. So in the case of my municipality or the place where I'm from, there are many different communities that from which many of the migrants, indigenous migrants, come to the city of LA, for example, to work. And so they use the symbols to talk about how migration affects everything. It affects the city of LA, it affects the communities from where the migrants come from, it affects the languages that they choose to speak or not speak. So they're using this urban symbology in both in a rural context, but here in this project in a very urban way.
La mentalidad cambió y me hizo reflectar mucho en la persona que soy y que crecí y reflectar en las cosas como son representadas cuando uno no es el que pasó eso o cuando no se identifica con la persona que pasó esa experiencia.
Oaxacan art has no borders. With the aid of technology and with the push of a button, an image can travel without regard to any of the borders. And so I think that Oaxacan art has no borders. It has a very real capacity to travel.
Dios quiere decir gracias, es en zapoteco, y Oaxacan árabe es porque es entre comida oaxaqueña y comida mediterránea, o sea, lebanesa. Por eso lo pusimos Oaxacan árabes.
Xtiozu Kitchen is the dream of Ignacio and Felipe Santiago. I know that they would have wanted to do this a really long time ago, but for a lot of different reasons, they didn't feel confident enough to take the leap because they were employees in restaurants that did not appreciate them. And I knew that they had so much talent, and I knew that they were willing to sacrifice so much for their dream, and so I was happy to offer my support in any way that I could. And I knew that all they needed was that support because they have done all of the work. You know, they've done everything.
La esposa de mi hermano es un factor muy importante en nosotros porque ella fue quien nos guió a darnos esa, ¿cómo se dice? No, empujarnos a hacer algo, porque nosotros no teníamos idea de dónde empezar, ni dónde ir, ni con quién hablar, ni nada.
It's named Xtiozu Kitchen because it's a word of gratitude, and it's gratitude that both Ignacio and Felipe have for each other, for the people who support them, for the city where they live, and you know, the fact that people are saying Xtiozu around the city, and they might not even know that they're saying thank you in Zapotec, I think is also a kind of a really positive side to this side of the story. I think the larger meaning of this business is that the idea of immigrants and the ways in which they contribute to U.S. society, U.S. culture, U.S. economy, this is where you can see it. It's one example that two young people who are immigrants and who are indigenous and who are Mexican are doing something that is so interesting and incredible in the great city of LA, and they're part of that. They're part of that urban landscape, and they're making their dream a reality. We hope that they will succeed in making it, you know, one of the places that people stop, you know, for lunch or dinner in the city of LA on any given day.
Guelaguetza is a Zapotec word. It means, in Zapoteco, it means Guelaguetza, which means I bring something, I'll give it back to you.
Today we're at UCLA. We dance for the Guelaguetza here at UCLA. It's its 6th annual Guelaguetza with the student organization here on campus. What we do, we have actually a few alumni from UCLA that dance with us, and a few UC alumni as well. So it's a real honor to be able to come, and especially during this time of political views that have been going on, all the racism and bigotry that's been going on recently. It's good to expose other people to our community and to show that we're not bad people, that we honor our community, both Los Angeles and Oaxaca. We feel so close. It's a community, it's a culture that is so tight, and we love to share our culture, our music, our dance, our art, our food. If you've been to Oaxaca, if you haven't had Oaxacan food, I highly recommend it. But this is a great event to expose our community to other cultures, especially in this big campus. When the Guelaguetza first started, it was towns would come from various regions of Oaxaca to the center of Oaxaca and share whatever their region cultivated, whether it was art, food, bread, whatever harvest they had that year, they came together and contributed or distributed it to the other communities in Oaxaca. And the reason behind that was because they felt that they were giving thanks for their culture, for what they had cultivated that year. They were sharing what they had so that in hopes that the following year they would have more and continue coming back with that. It's an indigenous, it was an indigenous prior to Catholicism. They believed in that if they shared not sacrifice, but if they shared whatever they had given, whatever they cultivated in abundance that year, the next year it would be better.
I was born and raised in a Oaxacan family, so Guelaguetza to me means that we should share what we have, whether it's something material or whether it's support. The fact that you're giving something away, to maybe in the future, if you need support or help, you might get it also in the same beautiful meaning of Guelaguetza, no? Which is reciprocity. So that's something that I was born with and that I was growing in a beautiful culture-oriented family. My parents are Oaxaqueños. I was born in Mexico City, but I do consider myself Oaxaqueño because I will feed from Oaxacan food. You know, I will visit my grandparents in Oaxaca every year, almost 2 or 3 times per year.
La Guelaguetza, tú lo adoptas, está pegado contigo, lo llevas ya cuando, bueno, en este caso, en mi caso, pues yo ya es algo que yo ya lo asimilé, ¿no? Es como una religión, que una vez que conoces, te acercas a Dios, pues es algo así, ¿no? Una vez que conoces tus raíces, ya lo llevas contigo y lo practicas y lo predicas a donde quiera que vayas.
Oaxaca, it's really a poor state in Mexico, and we can't deny that there's a lot of poverty. And But from all of that, besides all of the money, all of the poverty, the culture was rich. The culture, everything, the customs is what makes Oaxaca rich.